So Andrew Chau, CEO and co-founder of Neo Financial in Calgary, Alberta, and in your past, co-founder of one of Canada's great success stories, Skip the Dishes, Great Prairie success story. Really glad to have a chance to chat to you about Neo Financial and the value that it is delivering to Albertan businesses, primarily, I guess, but soon to a business near you during the COVID times, especially. But Andrew, just give us an idea about the value that Neo is delivering to small business.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me, Senator. So really happy to be here, and with Neo Financial, after co-founding Skip the Dishes for the last 7 years, we worked with over 30,000 restaurants, small businesses, all across Canada, and we saw how hard they worked and the dedication they put into running a restaurant, and after having that experience, we took that and learned a lot. And we learned that a lot of these restaurants and small businesses don't have a lot of the digital tools and the data to make decisions to acquire new customers and retain their existing customers. Yet a lot of the time they're really competing with really large incumbents. When you think about the existing incumbents, like a Starbucks, for example, that has all the tools to have their own rewards platform or their own payment tools. And what we decided with Neo Financial was, how do we connect these retailers and these merchants and small businesses with Canadian consumers? And what better way to connect those two by building a financial tools or a payment way to connect those two parties together. So with Neo Financial, what we are is a fintech company that's really reimagining everyday banking for Canadians from the ground up, and connecting merchants with consumers by making that spending experience the most rewarding experience possible.
That's fantastic. Can you give me, obviously not naming a business, but in your mind, think of one of your customers and what's happened to them as a small business once they acquired your services.
Yeah, so when you think about our current merchant partners, I'll take a local coffee shop here in Calgary. With Neo, what they're able to provide is an experience, rewards to their customers, and it's rewards through the Neo card, which is a MasterCard. And with that MasterCard, every time someone shops at their store using that MasterCard, that customer can earn rewards. But it's more importantly, what that merchant also gets is the ability to keep track of that customer over time. So if that customer comes back 2, 3, 4 times, they can continue rewarding that customer. So very similar to a Starbucks rewards program, but rather than only letting Starbucks have access to this program, we're able to really democratize it and allow 100,000 different businesses on one single credit card.
So that's fantastic. How many businesses, tell me, just give me an insight into how you've grown through COVID, because I gather you've grown quite quickly.
Absolutely. During COVID, it's been, we've had tremendous demand from our merchant partners who are looking for different ways to acquire customers, to retain their existing customers and build that loyalty. So we have just over 2,500 partners already on board, and it's really accelerated during this time. And from a consumer standpoint, rather than carrying around 20 different loyalty cards, you're now holding one single Neo card that gives you access to thousands of different local merchants, where it actually makes it really easy to shop local. And every time you use that card, you're now supporting that business.
That's fantastic, especially right now when our small businesses are suffering so greatly. And it probably helps to build sort of that community ecosystem once you get customers used to realizing the benefits that it brings to them. That's fantastic. Mm-hmm. So where are you going with this now? Let's look into the future and whatever you're prepared to share publicly, looking forward for Neo Financial, because it's great to see a company like yours growing and helping others to grow during or do better during the COVID times. Where are you heading now?
Yeah, we as with Neo Financial, we're a little bit different than most other fintechs. So we have really two sides to our business. We have our merchant partners that use Neo to acquire new customers, retain their existing, and really build that loyalty and that connection with their customers. And then we have the consumer side, where consumers really get a unique and differentiated experience when it comes to banking. So when you think about the apps that we use every single day, the 5 apps on our phone, these are generally Uber, Netflix, Spotify. So Canadians expect a lot from their apps. And what we've generally seen so far is, those seamless integrated experiences haven't yet translated to the banking scene here in Canada.
That's right.
Canadians expect their banking app to look and feel the way that they order food delivery to their door in 30 minutes or less. And for us, and why we're building Neo Financial is we're really bringing overdue innovation here in the Canadian banking space by designing a platform that brings everyday spending, everyday saving, and rewards together on one seamless platform.
That's awesome. And right now, geographically, where are you operating? Where are your merchants?
Going back to our prairie roots, we've started here in Western Canada, so Alberta, Manitoba, and BC, but we'll be sort of going nationwide quite soon here. And for us, it's really around starting with a MasterCard where you get exclusive rewards from thousands of different local businesses, as well as getting access to one of the best high interest savings accounts there is in Canada that gives you all the benefits of a checking account too.
That's absolutely fantastic. Now let's look to what government has been doing or not doing in the area of regulation. Because the great news is that our new Minister of Finance has restarted open banking consultations, looking into the how. How are we going to move forward on this? Which is that I'm thrilled, to say the least, that she's done this, and at a time where I've got to believe her agenda is a little busy, that she's prioritized this issue. So if you were to get a chance to share with Minister of Finance and others involved in looking at the question of how we change regulation in order to support this value to consumers and to merchants, to small businesses, what's your advice? What are your thoughts? Where are the areas that you're experiencing challenges or the opportunity that you'd like to see unlocked?
I think, having been in the space, both on the consumer side and I mean, I've been in the space for 10 years, building technology companies and building, these seamless, convenient experiences for Canadians. And, taking a playbook from other countries where we've sort of seen a lot of that innovation, especially in the banking space. One thing that we know that we need here in Canada is really giving Canadians more choice. And when it comes to choice, we're able to pick and choose which food delivery company we want to use, right? And it's very easy to switch from one app to another app to another app. But when it comes to banking, and especially for fintechs, one of the pieces here is around the data. So, it's how can we make it easier for Canadians to really choose the best solution that works for them, rather than being sort of hampered down to one particular solution or one particular bank. How do we enable, hey, let's give the choice back to the consumer and make it easy for them to switch? And a lot of that really underpins around the data that they have, because we should be able to make it very easy to switch from one place to another place.
The consultation documents that have been issued by Finance Canada around this next phase put data portability, data mobility, consumer control over their data at the forefront, as does the new Canadian Digital Charter, the Implementation Act that was launched yesterday. So that's good news that clearly we're moving in that direction. Yes. Any other pieces of advice that you'd like me to have and others that are in Ottawa looking at this issue?
I think at the end of the day, what speaks the most volume is to listen to Canadians. And I think, the more innovation we can have here in Canada, the better. I mean, when we look at all of the, again, apps on our phone, we could look at Netflix, you can look at Spotify, Uber, Amazon. These are generally all American or international companies who are coming into Canada, opening up subsidiaries, and sort of reaping the benefits and providing a great experience to Canadians. Yet from a Canadian perspective, we should be generating that innovation ourselves, and we should be serving Canadians ourselves. We have, just under 40 million people here. We have a ton of great talent, and what we can do here is, it's not going to be just one entrepreneur that's going to do it. It's going to be a collective across multiple different parties, across multiple organizations. And with Neo Financial, that's really what what we really stand for, is how do we make these connections and facilitate this entire network? Because the power of one, we need the power of everyone. So every Canadian who wants a better banking experience, wants choice, every small business or merchant that wants, more out of their payment processing, and for obviously the communities, the community organizations, the nonprofits, the governments, that, hey, if we want to drive innovation here, let's all work together and support the Canadian ecosystem and the Canadian tech companies that are here already.
It's music to my ears, and I would just add one thing to what you're saying, Andrew, and that's that we need to make sure that Canadian companies are starting to dominate globally, as Shopify and others have demonstrated that, in 15 years, you can become the largest company in the country and an absolute global player through a unique business model that adheres, in my mind, to Canadian values, which is to support merchants. That's very much the way you're looking at it. And do we ever need innovation now more than ever? Because we're going to have to improve our productivity growth coming out of this COVID era. And so we need innovation, we need competition to get the productivity growth to make sure that our prosperity does not decline as a result of this really big shock to our system. So you've hit on all those points. I'm just relaying words that you said that I think really fit with where government priorities are now and need to be. And thanks for all you're doing. And the other thing I think is really interesting, Andrew, that we got to mention today. Today's the day it was just announced: $3.6 billion acquisition of Verifin by NASDAQ. Mm-hmm. This is really showing that you were part of a $200 million acquisition when Skip the Dishes was purchased. A company you founded. It shows that there is a lot of opportunity for Canadians to build wealth and then unlock that wealth through an acquisition and then start reinvesting. And you're demonstrating that right here, that you're reinvesting your expertise, your experience, and your own capital, I assume, in helping this to move ahead. So thanks for all you're doing, Andrew.
Right on. Thank you so much.